this has been a very big outlet for the negativity in my life. So you get this happy person talking to you now, and then you read their very pissed off album. So it's not something that I don't enjoy doing. It's actually quite the opposite. Like I think it would be wonderful to live in a perfect world, but that is a very idealistic way to live and to hope for. And in the meantime, I think being able to be given this platform to actually say something that is hopefully relevant from some perspective is something that's really great, because there's plenty of countries around the world where we'd be put to death for even voicing these views. So to be able to do it on a music platform is incredible. Yeah, we definitely weren't really afraid of anyone's opinions on this record. Only because, like, when you start listening to opinions, you start simply making music to order. And we've never been that band. Like, we started making this music because we make what we like doing. So it was as simple as that. That being said, like, we were very, very aware that we were going to create waves within the people that already were familiar with our music, simply because it's different. That's it. Like, if it's different, you're either going to find something new you like, or you're going to find something you don't like for the first time. So that being said, like, the reception for this record has been so far and above anything else we've done before. It's been very nice. Playing these songs live is, like, they sit so well within the set list, and the reception is so phenomenal from, like, literally from the word go. It took Vice Grip, like, 6 songs and this is 6 sets, and this was before the record was even released, before that became, like, the biggest song that we've ever written. And they're fun to play, so it's nice. It's everything we'd hoped for.
The pressure builds. It wraps its hands around your throat. A constant battle. A solid woman soul.
The evolution was an interesting thing to work out, really interesting, and it was one of those things where it literally happened just because we got to an end point with the old sound when it came to this, just the enjoyment of making that music. Like, it was to the point where we're like, we got nothing else to put in, nothing new. So do you go back and cannibalize old things, or do you continue trying to make something new, but it's got to be something different? So it wasn't so much like metalcore as a style that we're like, we're done with metalcore. It was simply the fact of the way that we wrote songs had remained the same from the inception of the band all the way through to that point of writing. So we'd written like 50-something songs where it was like, we need a riff that goes nah, 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 a fast riff. We got to have a couple of breakdowns in this, and there's one way that we write breakdowns, and then the vocals have got to be that level of intensity the whole time, level 10, and then there's a couple of little talky bits because I can't sing. So it was just that thing of like, does this spark my interest? That's where the limitation came. And it was just simply the idea of that specific sound that we'd been working with for so long no longer being relevant to our actual interests as creative individuals.
One life, one shot, give it all you got. Keep the flame alive.
The writing process itself was, it was long, but it was focused. That was the thing. And when I say there's been evolution as well, it's not the fact that we completely wanted to discard everything in the past. It's just we wanted to relearn. So when it came to the actual sound of it, it wasn't so much harnessing a specific style or genre or anything like that and saying, now we're going to sound like this. It was just trying to work out what we loved about the sound that we had and what we loved about being in the band, and maximizing it and using it in a different way. So the writing process literally was anything goes, which has not been the case in the past. It was like, basically in the past we had the set way of writing, and then whenever we had a little influence, we got that influence and we put it into a bite-sized chunk that worked within what we already created. And this time around we took that chunk and we created an entire concept around that and made a song, tried to make a song around that entire feel. That's the way the writing really happened. It's always, the writing group is Ben, Jeff and myself, and it just bounces around between them. Like, I had some ideas, Ben had some ideas, and Jeff wrote a million hours worth of guitar for this record. Like, he was completely obsessed with it. He's got a studio in his basement, and it was literally like 12 hours a day, non-stop for like 2 years of just him like, what are you doing today, Jeff? I'm just writing songs. And going over, like, some songs worked perfectly from the word go, and some songs were written like 60 times, and some songs didn't get finished until we last day of the studio. So it was just a complete and utter overhaul of anything we ever had an idea for when it came to writing songs. When it came to influences, it was literally just letting go. It was the idea of not distilling things in the same way that we did, and not limiting these ideas and styles of playing, because we've always had like riffs that have been tumbling around that have gone, nah, that's too slow, or that's too melodic, or like that bit is just too far out there, and we've literally just sidelined it and said, yeah, that's great, whatever, we'll never be able to do anything with that. And this was simply the record where those ideas were like, okay, we're not going to say no to it, we're going to work with it, and then we're going to work it into a song. So all of those sounds, they don't necessarily come from other bands, they just comes from us enjoying other ways of writing, which is really neat. Like, the really strange thing to see had been people, like, as soon as we put things out, people going, this is this band, and 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 we're like, holy shit, is it that different? Like, we just wrote a Parkway record, but I can't believe people are picking up all these different sounds and stuff out of it. It's really nice. Like, it's an honour to be mentioned in the same name as the bands that people hear the influences from and stuff. But to be honest, when we were writing, it's literally three guys just trying to do something that they enjoy. And this time around, the sounds that we chose to work with were more. The vocal style that I had on this record was an interesting one to come to, simply because it wasn't so much saying, okay, who am I going to be? Like, I've never done anything other than screaming at level 10, so which guy am I going to be like? It was simply trying to find something that worked and that I related to. And yeah, like, my vocal influences come from nowhere heavy. Like, they stopped being, like, vocal influences stopped coming from heavy bands about like 6-7 years ago, and that happened for most of our music simply because it became an overload of music for us. So yeah, especially like Tom Waits is a massive influence on me, if no one's figured that one out yet. But I've always loved the fact that he can create so many different characters with a voice that is so unconventional. So that was it's simply an inspiration, in the sense of, hey, I may not be able to sing like an opera singer, but there is so much you can do to create intensity and character within a vocal range that isn't traditional in that sense. So that was the idea. It was simply trying to create something that still stood true to Parkway without all of a sudden people getting to that chorus and bam, here's some pop singing that you never thought Parkway would ever have. Like, we still wanted it to remain the same, just seem like that evolution that delves deeper into the character. It's got you in its sights. The record, there's no one underlying theme from it. It's simply the fact, like, so many songs, I guess, circulate around the fact that I don't see us as a planet and us as a species moving in a positive direction. And the sad thing about it is that we're very open in acknowledging the fact that we need to make a change. This isn't right, this isn't right, this isn't right, and then nothing happens. And that's the sad thing. The sad thing is the fact it seems to not, whatever we're doing is not resonating on a level that needs to affect change. And I think repressing the idea that that something is working against you and is pushing that emotion up is when things get dangerous, because then eventually it explodes. It means that someone is pushed down and down and down and down to the point where they have no other option. We have the chance to make a change for the better, and it's not until you actually stand up and say, you know what, I'm not happy with what's going on. Until that point in time, we still just drift along on that tide in the direction that we're not happy with, sitting there grumbling to ourselves and hoping someone else will do it. Like, I don't believe people are inherently evil. And I just think that there are human traits and systems that we have managed to become complacent with that are leading us down a path which I don't think is going to be beneficial for the very small part of the universe which we are able to exist in, put it that way. So it's not hard for me to find hope. It's just, while I guess you may feel positive now, there still can be better. There's very few songs on that record that blend together. It's not the kind of album where you put it on and after song 6 you've heard the entire record and the next 6 are just a copy of the start. By the end of the record, you want to go back and start it again, simply because it's all different, and that was the idea. So it just meant, again, like, there's more. It's just, there's not more overkill, gnarly. That's it. Like, it's like most things. Like, it's so easy to put a blank, like you said, blank face on any kind of mass. And you do it with countries, and you do it with towns, and you do it with the neighbors and stuff like that. Like, it's so simple to just say them. They are like this. And then when you go to a certain place and you meet a person face to face, I've yet to have someone not greet me in a humane way as a fellow human. Like, it's not like I rock up and get off a plane anywhere and all of a sudden get stabbed and raped and destroyed. It's quite the opposite. It's just, there's different parts of the world with different concepts of culture, but in the end, I think humanity rises above that. So, yeah, it's easy to forget.